Hey everyone, this is Chris, and you're listening to One Cross Radio, and today we are joined by, anxiety, because that's always fun. No, for real though, Luna is in the room, she is laying down, it is quite hot. We are also joined by, a shirt you can't see, but it's an awesome t-shirt that I'm so thrilled I got. It's, maybe I'll attach a picture, in the Instagram. It's something I got from Redbubble. It's just this shot of the Megazord's head, but the Megazord had a different name. I think it was like the Great Warrior or something. I can't remember its name, but it's a Super Sentai G-Ranger shirt, and I'm so happy I got it. And this is actually an episode I tried to record earlier today while I was out and about, because anxiety was hitting then, and y'all know me, I like to try to repurpose some of that energy if I can before an attack happens. But unfortunately, it was, one, grossly hot and humid outside. For those of you who enjoy this weather, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. I am not one of them. I'm a human furnace. I am warm all the time. So external heat and humidity, and just the sweat and grossness that comes with that, it's not a good time for me. I'm really looking forward to the fall. But hey, if you're enjoying summer, fantastic for you. Anyways, I tried to record it while I was out this morning, but it was breezy, but the breeze wasn't cool, so it was just loud. And there was a lot of cars, and I checked early on. I'm like, the audio won't be salvageable, so I'll just record it later. And right now I'm recording this after taking some of my medication for the anxiety. So as that energy is going, before I'm like down for the count, because sometimes the medication can make me quite drowsy, I was like, you know what, let's record that episode and repurpose some of that energy still, even though the mini attack happened, I can still, after the medication, like it helps prevent it from happening again. And it like helps with the physical symptoms. It's like, I've still got the energy. Let's get it out. And before I crash, let's get to that fall asleep place in a good headspace. So that's a lot of information, like a lot of stalling. It really does prove accurate. This meme I shared in my Instagram stories this morning, where it was Michael Scott from The Office being like, sometimes I'll start a sentence and I won't even know where I'm going. I just hope I find it along the way. Something like that. Great line that I just butchered. And the joke was, yeah, that's me while I'm podcasting, and well, this proves it. Anyways, on to the episode. Today it's going to be a mix. Most of the time, this kind of thing would be a quick thoughts. Some of these are going to be quick, and some of them are going to be a little bit longer, so I didn't think quick thoughts was appropriate, so I'm going with Assorted Thoughts. It's under the Thought series umbrella. And yeah, it's just a bunch of stuff that's hit my mind recently that I've been thinking on, doing, and talking with other people about. The other day, I got to go see one of my best friends, Jem Bigwood, Levy Big Sister, from Cardboard Koinonia, our friends over there, and she has her Scentsy business, and I've known Jen for years, and it was just amazing getting to meet her beautiful daughter, Izzy, and then also just catch up and and be raw and open and vulnerable that way you can with friends. And one of the topics that came up, and it's a heavy one, it's a sad one, like it does bring sadness to your heart when it happens, but it's also where I'm thankful for, I do believe once saved, always saved. And if, you're coming to Christ at any point in your life was a genuine thing, I believe that sticks. And I do think it's unfortunately in our fallen, sinful nature to wander away and to walk away from the faith. And like that sucks. That sucks to see. But to me, it's unfortunately not. It's not surprising. I think it's in our fallen nature. And that's not to hate on anybody who's, and that's actually the point. That's not to hate on anybody while I say that. And one of the conversations we had were just kind of like how we handle, as believers, how we handle people walking away from the faith. And it's really upsetting to me how poorly we handle that. How poorly we handle when our brother and sisters are in, not even in a crisis of faith, but just in a season of questioning or in a season of struggle with their faith. Like outside circumstances, life circumstances, whatever impacting the faith. God knows that's going to happen. But when it does, too many times I see the church as a whole, not individual specific churches, although that happens at those. But the church as a whole and individual believers, or however you want to break that down, questioning is natural, and we encourage it to a point. If it's, ask questions. It's interesting to me how we'll do that, with at times non-believers or young believers. We want them to ask questions because we want them to grow in their faith. But when it's somebody who's already in their faith, at times if they start asking questions or looking into things, it's the guard goes up and it's like, oh no, you'll trip, you'll fall, you'll be gone. And I get it, because there are dangers in looking for answers. At times you can find answers, like horrible answers, in very wrong places, in places that claim to be Christian, claim to be honoring Christ, and they're teaching horrible things. They're living horrible things. So I get you can be guarded, but the way you enact that guardedness is very important. And at times it's like, well, you just need to pray through this and all that, or very firm, harsh statements like, how can you question this? Like, don't you know? Or just starting to treat like they're an apostate, or something like that. And it's really upsetting. 'Cause I do think questioning your faith and your understanding of Scripture is not only natural, at times it's absolutely necessary. We constantly need to be seeking wisdom and seeking clarity on our understanding of Scripture, because we can make things black and white that God left perfectly gray in the Scriptures. We can make certain behaviors black and white that weren't. Heck, we can make things that were okay in Scripture suddenly not okay. We can turn things into like the like the absolute, this is the worst sin you can commit, when in Scripture all sin is equal. You get what I mean. And we need to look at our understandings, because our understandings can be very wrong. Like, we can get the wrong information from the wrong people. We could get stuck in an understanding that is incorrect. And if we're not willing to seek out wisdom on that, the downside is, I think we could be teaching and participating in sin that we're not intending, but that doesn't make it not sin. And how we treat people as they're questioning, at times it gets into that sinful territory, like time and time and time and time and time and time and time again throughout Scripture. It's brought up, love your neighbor as yourself. Shout out to our boy Hector from Faith and Fandom. Dude, can't wait for book 8, and so happy for you and your ministry that you get to be back out in cons now. That's awesome. But Hector has constantly shared on the Faith and Fandom Instagram and Facebook and Twitter those great reminders of loving your neighbor as yourself, treating others kindly and biblically. And unfortunately, I don't see enough of that when it comes to people in that questioning space, or unfortunately when people do walk away. And as much as we don't like to admit it, I think a huge part of why people walk away is some of the unfortunate hypocrisy that can exist within the church, within believers. And especially, like, hypocrisy is always bad. Now, I'm not saying we can never be hypocritical, because we're all fallen, broken, easily sinful people. We will mess up, and that will be part of the way. But if we pretend like we don't, or if we only call out other stuff and never admit our own faults, our own struggles, or anything like that, we're yelling love, love, like you need to love, 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 but I'm going to go treat you like garbage, or treat certain people from other communities like garbage. What message does that send? You can easily find answers to some of these questions that don't include God. Now, I'm going to say, for me, those are absolutely wrong answers. That's not to diminish anybody, and I'm sure there's going to be some conversations. And to me, those are wrong answers, and I love that conversation. And I'm not saying this from a hateful place, but you can have some of these questions and find and understand these answers that don't include the Lord. And what's going to be a big push there as well is when you look at people who are saying, I'm a follower of Jesus, I'm a reflection of Christ, and you're doing truly horrible things, intentional or not. Like that's going to be a huge push for people away. And we need to get better at that. Like, how many times have us in the church seen it? Some of us have experienced it, where people are suddenly worried about where you are with the Lord, and to have those concerns is fine. Pray for people. And also pray for the right people to talk to them. But you'll just suddenly have people who you have maybe spoken once or twice to, like, coming up to you and grilling you. And it's like, oh, you're the, like, borderline, you're the charity case now. We only show care when it's this. But any other time, we've left you alone. Like, that's not how it should be. That's not a good message to send. And I don't think at all that's how Christ would have reacted. And that's not to come down as harsh and hateful on the church, because thankfully lately I have also seen a lot of good from the church. And a lot of willingness to re-examine how it interacts with others. Where it's like how we can be firm and true to our word, to our God, but also how we can express that and deliver that, and be there for those that aren't there, you know? So this isn't to be like boo the church. It's just, I think this is an area that the church, and at times I myself and others, we need to work on. And with that, I just say, pray for the people, but still be there. And also, if they're a believer, or they're now a straying believer, or walking believer, or former believer, whatever you want to say, that doesn't mean you just drop them as a friend. Like, to me, that's almost like the worst thing you could do. So, yeah, it's a tricky thing, and I get the emotions and the sadness involved in it, but also keep them in prayer. Keep in prayer that God knows what's going on, and he knows what he's doing. Remind yourself that, and also don't suddenly make every conversation with them like, all right, we got to win you back and all that. Like, still treat them as your brother or sister. Still love them. And I do think that's going to have a huge impact on them, period. How we treat other people really impacts them. Throughout my years working in social work and social ministry, I've heard so many upsetting tales about people's experience with other Christians that boil down to how they treat other people. And we need to work on loving our neighbors as ourselves. Now, part of that could be we don't love ourselves, which could be a whole kettle of fish that could get opened, and is probably best another episode for another time. But part of it is could be that, like, we treat ourselves like crap, so we treat other people like crap. But like I said, that might be a separate episode for a separate time, because I think you do need to love yourself, but not in that full of yourself, I'm the absolute best kind of way. You can love yourself while recognizing your flaws and still recognizing, like, you got to put God first in that. But you got to know, you got to learn how you operate, how you best operate, and that can then impact how you allow the Lord to use you. Anyways, so that was the first bit. Like I said, pray for people. Just honestly pray for people. And pray for yourself, pray for me, and how I treat others. Like, I'm not trying to come down as a know-it-all. And again, this wasn't meant from a mean place. It's sometimes we need to have those frank conversations, those loving conversations, and we need to call that stuff out in a loving way. The people Christ did that with the most was the church. And that's something that we unfortunately miss a lot. We need to incorporate that, and doing that the right way. Okay, moving on to some lighter things. Last weekend, my amazing wife Jill was still on vacation. It was her last day of vacation, and we decided to celebrate, and we had a stay-at-home date. We got the keg, and we fired up Disney Plus on the upstairs TV. It's the first time we've actively watched something on the big screen in quite some time, because most of the time I just use it for gaming. And occasionally watching, like, Super Sentai on, what's the streaming app called? It's a free streaming app. Dang it, what's it called? On Tubi. They've got, I think, all the Super Sentais. But anyways, like 99% of the time, the upstairs TV is just used for gaming. But we fired up the PlayStation. We downloaded Disney Plus on there, and we watched Black Widow. And it's the first Marvel thing I've watched since the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, just because with all this mental health stuff, I've barely been able to watch new. So there's a lot of shows I want to get caught up on. Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, Black Widow, not Black Widow, Bad Batch, And then, of course, the Netflix shows like Daredevil season 3. But at times, anybody who's gone through struggles with mental health, at points you just need that comfort. And new isn't always comforting. But we both wanted to check out Black Widow. We weren't getting the opportunity to see it in theaters. And we also didn't necessarily feel comfortable going to theaters yet. So I am really looking forward to being able to see movies on the big screen again. I friggin' love watching movies in the theater. But it was nice because it's a large TV. We got good sound. And I really liked the movie. I'm gonna not spoil it, and at some point, probably with Steve, because he's almost like my go-to Marvel guy. And also, at one point, Steve and I were recording an episode that halfway through we just had to scrap because my internet connection was really messing up, and it was just bad news bears. So Steve, thank you for your patience with that. Love you, buddy. So yeah, we checked it out. I really, really enjoyed it. Is it in my top 5 MCU movies? No. It's nowhere near the bottom 5 either. It's really solid. Give me a quick sec while I look this up, just because I want to be able to name the actress well. The whole cast, I think, did a really, really good job. But like Scarlett Johansson was great in the character. I wish we had gotten this earlier. Like, I understand, like, hey, we're doing it now. And part of the reason they didn't do it earlier was someone involved at the time was like, well, hey, earlier in the phases when was it Ike? I can't remember, so I'm not gonna. That's not to throw shade if I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. But a higher up at Disney was like, hey, superhero movies fronted by women don't sell. And Wonder Woman hadn't dropped yet to prove him wrong. Because unfortunately, earlier movies featuring women in the leads in superhero movies didn't sell. The issue was, though, that they were crappy movies. It had nothing to do with them being fronted by women. Catwoman bombed because it looked and was terrible. Elektra bombed because it looked and was terrible. The Supergirl movie from the from the late 80s that's just kind of shoved under the rug was part of the reason Kara Zor-El was killed in the comics. Bombed because it looked and was terrible. It wasn't because of the women thing, but unfortunately it had that unfortunate coincidence. So now we're finally getting Black Widow, which they did it well where it's not a phase 1 movie. It easily could have been, but it was told in flashback because this is one that takes place at the end of Civil War and then gets Black Widow in her starting position for Infinity War. Scarlett Johansson is great. Rachel Weisz, who, like, terrific actress, has been in so many things. I think most people, if you're tracking people through blockbuster movies, she was, I think her name was Ellen in the first 2 Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser. That first Mummy movie is awesome, and Brendan Fraser is awesome. Yeah, Rachel Weisz was great. David Harbour, most known from why can't I think of the thing now? Why can't I think of Stranger Things. I almost said Secret Things. But David Harbour as he's the sheriff in Stranger Things. He's in it as Alexei. I just want to read the name right. Dang it. I'm just messing it up. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it. Okay, there we go. Cast. I'm a professional, guys. Sorry, give me a second. I feel bad. So Alexei Shostakov, that's my terrible pronunciation of a very Russian name, who was also the Red Guardian. He was hilarious and heartfelt when he needed to be. Like, you could argue he was the comic relief, but he also had some good, like, heart feels moments. So I really enjoyed him. But the absolute standout for me was, and I'm probably butchering her name, please forgive me, Florence Pugh. She plays Yelena Belova, who in the trailers we find out is Black Widow's sister. She is, to me, the standout of the movie. Like, she's just phenomenal. Her performance is outstanding. The movie on a whole, I really, really, really enjoy. The first half, constantly, Jill and I were, like, looking over each other. I'm like, dude, I'm getting Winter Soldier vibes, like, from this chase sequence, how it's shot, the tone, and Winter Soldier is, like, in my top 3. It's outstanding. So I loved that. They did twist one of the characters a bit, and I understand, because the thing is, with these movies, we have to remember it's an adaptation. We're not going, like, literal panel to screen. So characters are going to get changed a bit. The character of Taskmaster does get changed a bit. I don't want to spoil things, so I can understand some people being upset with that. But for me, I'm like, okay, at least a key aspect of that character, they got right. They got that spirit right. So I've seen a comparison to Barakapool from X-Men Origins Wolverine, and I think that's too far. I think that's a bridge too far, because yes, they do cut out aspects of the Taskmaster, but a big component of him they nail, whereas Barakapool, no, they got nothing right of Deadpool in that mess. And also, I am thankful that we actually got to see the Taskmaster on screen, and done well. Is it comic book Taskmaster? No. Is it a fun movie version? Yeah. The only complaint I have about the movie, and it's not to belittle it, it's just, for me at times, the special effects. It's part of the issues I had with Black Panther. The special effects at time in this movie show. And there's certain spots where you're like, okay, that was not a seamless transition from CGI insert Black Widow to ScarJo Black Widow. It's not as bad as, say, the first Spider-Man movie, which is unfair because that was 2001, but it's an apt illustration, I think. Or as bad as special effects in, say, X-Men Origins Wolverine, but there's various times where you're like, wow, okay, we're really leaning into the special effects. Did we have to? But that's a nitpick. It's not a big plot point or anything like that. Like, I'm definitely going to watch this again. I'm definitely going to buy it. There's only, like, 2 Marvel movies I don't own. And eventually I might pick them up if I see them in, like, the $5 bin. But this is going on the shelf. I really, really enjoyed it. So if you get the chance, check it out. Scarlett Johansson, I think, deserves a win and a great send-off for her character. It's a really solid and entertaining movie. There's a lot of really bad and upsetting things going on in the world, and this is a very fun distraction from them. All right, so now we're moving on, and these are going to be where it's more rapid-fire, quick thoughts kind of things. Lately, I've been watching some random documentaries on YouTube because it's fun. Let's see. One of them was I think it's called The Last Day of the Dinosaurs or something like that. Or maybe it was a different one. It might have been a different one. Oh, no. It was, I think, Catastrophes. The day the Earth was on fire or something. And through that, I learned about a theory that I had never, ever heard of. There's this hypothesis that, like, around 4.5 billion years ago, Earth collided with another planet named Theia. Theia, which created, of course, some issues on Earth. Nearly wiped out all life, as the hypothesis goes. But also, some of the stuff that some of the debris ejecting from this collision formed the moon. Now, I don't believe that, but I thought it was interesting. I was like, I've never heard that theory. And it was just an interesting one. So I was like, why not? I'll share it. I don't believe it, but it's interesting. Aside from random documentaries, I've been getting back into Dragon Ball Z Kai. And I enjoy the show. Like, I know for hardcore fans of Dragon Ball Z, they still enjoy this, but they're like, nah, man, even the full long arcs in the original series that have plenty of filler, for them, a lot of them, they find joy in the filler, and that's great. That's awesome for them. For me, I find that filler hard to get through, and even with this, which Dragon Ball Z Kai is like reducing, I don't know how many hundreds of episodes down to like 97. It's still at times like the Frieza arc, even with all its reduction of filler, was still quite long. And at the end of it, I was just like, okay, you know what? I think I'm done for a while. And I've started pick back up. It's in the Android Saga. I was like, man, I really enjoy this. The animation is good. The voice acting is good. It's a fun way to get through Dragon Ball Z, which I enjoyed as a kid, without waiting like 8 episodes for Goku to charge up a shot. And again, I cannot recommend enough. One of my favorite chapters from the Faith and Fandom books from Hector was actually one about Dragon Ball Z, where it's all about learning patience and the example of patience and that practical application while watching the original run, Dragon Ball Z, and not Dragon Ball Z Kai, because you're like, oh my gosh, just get back to Goku. So I'm enjoying that, and that actually led me to checking out another show, which I believe is similar in idea, like shortening it down, cutting out filler, and being more true to the manga, which I haven't read, and that's Sailor Moon Crystal. We all know Bex the Wonderful from Redeemed Otaku, and she loves Sailor Moon. Heck, her and I did that watch along, and I'm like, I enjoyed the episodes as we did the watch along. It's not my go-to, but I was like, you know what, I kind of want to check this out more. And the whole version that we watched, I can't remember the name of the dub, but that's available through Crave in Canada. But as I was on Netflix, I just saw this ad for Sailor Moon Crystal, which is more up-to-date animation, gorgeous animation, absolutely gorgeous. But also just a substantial trimming down of the Sailor Moon story. Now, Crystal, I believe, only has 1 season. I'm not sure how many episodes. I'm 2 episodes in. But a comparison would be and so far they're fairly true to those original episodes, but just updated animation wise, and also, like I said, more true to the manga. And I'm going to say apparently, not dismissively. It's just I haven't read it, so I can't be like that is factually true. But I'm digging it. I just remember, I think Beck said in the original run of the anime, it was like episode 1 and the first bunch of episodes, it's just Usagi, and that's like episode 16 or 20 or something, where my girl Sailor Mercury shows up. Always liked her. I think it's the blue hair. She stood out. She was like the first one I could remember when I was a kid, and I played at on YTV, the good old 90s. PJ Phil. Anyways, I met him at the Science Center once. Anyways, sorry. Whereas in Crystal, Sailor Mercury shows up in the second episode. And in the third episode, which I haven't watched yet, but I probably will later today, it's Sailor Mars. So I like that we're getting to these other characters and the story's flowing in an interesting way. And I'm digging it. It's something I'm gonna keep up. And it's a fun gateway to anime for me. And I'm digging it. Like Dragon Ball Z Kai and Sailor Moon Crystal have been a very fun gateway to anime. And I've checked out some of the other anime stuff, like I did that episode about the Studio Ghibli amazing gut punch ruin your life day movie, Grave of the Fireflies, which I cannot wait to buy and have sit on my shelf for years until I can handle watching it again, because it's just amazingly, oh man. Anyways, fantastic film, just not one you just, I feel like watching this today. Do it if you've got like 4 hours where you can just watch like Friends, Community, or The Office just to get back to an okay space. But I'm digging those shows. I'm not sure where you can find Dragon Ball Z Kai online. I have it. And you can find Sailor Moon Crystal on Netflix, at least in Canada. If you got a VPN, then you can get it anywhere. You can be in the States and just access Netflix Canada. Okay, so now we're going in. This is just going to be kind of a quick update on just things. So some of it is going to be personal, some of it is going to be podcast stuff and life stuff. So just as a quick update, unfortunately, I am out of work again. Now, I think 2 or 3 episodes ago, I was like, hey, things are super busy with my new job and all that. The new job was a temp job. It was only going to be 2 months. But unfortunately, I got really sick during it. I was sick for about 2.5 weeks with this sinus infection that just absolutely wrecked me. Like, you couldn't breathe, your throat was killing you. And I was also like constantly having, it was messing with my stomach issues a lot as well. So I was out of commission. This job required you to be out and about meeting with people for, say you're working a 5-hour shift. You were out and about talking directly with so many people on a in-person basis for at least 3.5 to 4 hours of that. You're constantly walking and moving, which is great exercise. And I enjoyed that aspect of it, but I couldn't do it while I was sick. And my supervisor was just wonderfully outstanding and supportive. But even though we're now seemingly at the tail end of COVID, and I've had my first shot, now I'm just waiting, and I can't wait to get the call that, hey, come in to get the second. It's still like, hey, look, if you're sick, you can't work. And if you're sick for 2 days, you gotta go get tested for COVID. And they're understandably like very, very, very cautious, because it's not only care for you as an employee, it's also care for people, because you don't want to be spreading this thing. And they were super supportive and understanding, but unfortunately, like, the supervisor was, again, wonderful, because he would daily check in with me. He'd be encouraging. He was fighting for me with his higher ups. But it got to a point where I was like, dude, I'm really sorry. I'm still sick. Like, my throat's clearing up, but like, I still can't, I can't talk too long, and if I'm moving too much, like then everything hits and then I'm down. I'm just down. And he was like, all right, let's see if we can do phone stuff for you, or if we can get you doing something else, like inputting other things, like helping other people online with that kind of thing. I was like, awesome. And then right around then, the very next day, it's just kind of like, man, they just made a thing being like, nope, no phone stuff. Like this weekend and all next week is absolutely 100% in the field. We need everybody out the door in the field, like no question. And it was just, I couldn't do it. Like it wasn't even like I couldn't like suck it up and bear it. Like it was something I legit wasn't physically able to do while I was really sick. And then I was still sick, like I said, another 5-6 days after that. So unfortunately I got let go, and that was a real bummer. That hasn't been too good with the anxiety and the depression, and I'm back to job hunting, which is necessary, but also isn't good for the anxiety and depression. So pray for those things for me, please. And everybody who's job hunting, and just for mental health in general. It's been an insanely stressful, negative, rough time for the past couple years, and there has been absolute pros and praise be to God moments through those. That's not to say it's only been bad, but for the most part, it's been incredibly rough and really draining, and it's like in good mental health, this stuff sucks, and when your mental health is struggling, it's worse. That's not to compare struggles or compare stuff. It's just, or I can say it feels worse. It's challenging. So for me and everybody who's struggling with that, please pray. And also while I'm at that, I'll also say, like, I appreciate so much people reaching out, because I know the love is there and well intended. If you don't hear back from me, and I'll say for others as well, like that's not to me speaking for them, but I know numerous people who operate this way as well. It's sometimes because we can't handle it. We appreciate the reach out. We do. We know you love us and you're praying for us and you're trying to big us up. But sometimes conversation, especially about the thing that's hit the blow or given that blow to you, is just not doable. So if it's taking me a while to respond, know that you're not bugging me at all. I love and appreciate the reach out and the messages. It's just like, hey, if you don't hear back from me right away, it's because I'm just like, hey, I'm not able to respond right now. Like I don't feel like I can respond. And that may be the case for a bunch of other people. So I do apologize if at times to the amazing and wonderful loved ones and friends who have reached out. I'm sorry if it seemed like I've been ignoring or pushing you away. Not at all the intention or the desire. It's just I haven't necessarily been able to respond. And I do as soon as I'm like, all right, you know what? I can answer the question, how are you? So yeah, thank you for those prayers, and just wanted to update you guys on that in real life aspect, or non-podcast aspect. A happy one outside of the podcast is, I mentioned an episode or two ago, and on multiple episodes, I was getting to submit chapters for another geek devotion that I had been thankfully and blessedly invited to participate in, and those have been edited and then re-edited and then re-edited again, but they have been submitted, and I'm really excited for them to be published and the devotional to be published. I can't wait to drop that dime and that info for you guys, and read what everybody else who was involved wrote. It's interesting because writing for this one and writing for Faith and Fandom, it's similar but different because it's devotional, it's spiritual, and God-honoring content, but the delivery mechanism within writing them is different. So that was a fun and at times stressful, challenge for me. But I've really dug it, and I'm thrilled that they're submitted, and I can't wait to check out the whole devotional and share with y'all the title when it drops. I can't wait to drop that dime. All right, so these quick thoughts are going to be just about some future episodes. I'm on a little bit of a Bond kick. Last time I was on a mini Bond kick, I rewatched like all the Daniel Craig Bonds and the Pierce Brosnan Bonds, which the Brosnan Bonds I enjoy. I forgot just how insanely sexual they are. Like, it's insane how sexual they are. It's just like, wow, there is no subtlety whatsoever with this line. Like, it's you're not hiding anything here. Like, it's not a it's a I'm going to sledgehammer you with this. And that's not to knock Brosnan. It's just what the script was. And also, his Bond is by far the bloodthirstiest. There's a funny thing with so many movies where it's like on YouTube you can find it. It's like a kill count. If that doesn't bother you, you could check them out. It's not something I'm recommending. But I had on this Bond kick. I had done it with the Bonds, and Brosnan's period was not the shortest, because that was George Lazenby, because that was 1, and then Dalton at 2. But in Brosnan's 4 flicks, he killed 133 people. And I just remember it's like rating mass murderer. It's just no one else came close. I think Roger Moore's was at like 67 or something, and it's just like, wow, yeah. And even in GoldenEye, it was just like a lot of point from the hip and shooting. But anyway, through this Bond kick, I've of course started checking out unmade Bond movies. So I'm looking forward to recording that. That might end up being the next unmade I do. Bond Unmade. I'm really excited. Because there's also some really interesting movies that Dalton would have got to make if the issues that were going on with MGM weren't going on at the time. Because from what I understand, I haven't watched the Dalton Bonds yet, but they are very gritty. And I'm hearing before their time. Like, they are the precursor to the Daniel Craig Bonds. I've heard in a lot of ways, and they're only in the past couple of years really starting to get appreciated. They're kind of forgotten. So I'm probably going to check those out, and I'm going to be checking out Never Say Never Again soon, the second and last unofficial Bond movie. And by that I mean, like, there were 2 Bond movies that were made outside of the Eon canon, just because of legal issues. And one had Sean Connery, and I've heard surprisingly good things about that one, so I want to check it out. So yeah, Bond Unmade is coming. I can't share the name yet, but I will be doing some guest spots on some podcasts soon that I'm really excited about. I love going on other people's shows because it's a lot of fun. And it's also in some ways less stressful. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'll drop that dime and share those as soon as they're done. And I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, that's kind of that's today's episode. Yeah, we went longer than I thought. It's a good thing I didn't call this quick thoughts. Assorted was more apt. So yeah, just again, please keep me and everyone in prayer. Just everyone needs prayer. Everyone needs prayer. And just be good to one another, guys. Like, that's not just for our brothers and sisters in the faith, or when our brothers and sisters walk away from the faith, although loving them then is very, very important. But be good to each other always. Please. And that goes for you too, Chris. Oh, actually, also an episode I'm hoping to record at some point soon, maybe with Christian on Into the Weeds, I'm not sure, is one about Castle Bravo, which is a thing in history that I find doesn't get talked about enough and isn't well known enough, and it's quite tragic, and it also has a huge impact on one of my favorite franchises and one of my frequent guests and buddies' favorite franchises of Godzilla. So we might be doing a Castle Bravo episode or something like that, looking at like a real world history event. That could be a lot of fun and interesting. And also Nathan and I, our good friend from Monster Island Film Vault, might be doing a Narnia cast episode. And yeah, we'll see. Because while we were doing other things, we got on a Narnia topic. I was like, this could be an episode, so let's save it for one. But yeah, be good to each other. Thank you all so much for the love and the support. You can check us out pretty much wherever podcasts are found. We're on Spotify, we're on Amazon Podcasts, we're on Audible Podcasts, we're on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, of course, is our primary one. Wherever you listen to us, check us out, subscribe. And if you can, please review. Be they good reviews or bad reviews. Of course, I'd love a good review, but if it's a bad review, I like getting those too, especially if it actually has an actual review that tells me what I can improve. And also because another podcast I really, really enjoy, Geek History Lesson, they point this out in their episodes. Due to international stuff being what it is, like in Canada, I can only read reviews of One Cross Radio that are written on Apple Podcasts, the Canadian site. So if you are an international listener and you have wrote us a review, please drop it to me. You can email us at 2099 One Cross Street ST at gmail.com, and I'd love to read the review out on the show. And also the reviews help us grow. It gets us further in the algorithm. And I'm hearing from people how they're finding the podcast, and it's really encouraging. Some of the stuff I've been hearing recently, like one of the things that was wonderful, it was so encouraging and amazing that I legit cried after hearing it. Like a little happy tears, happy thankful tears. And yeah, I'd love to see it grow. And I also want to hear more from you guys. I love the engaging aspect of it. Yeah. So, yeah, sorry, total brain fart there. You can also check us out on our website at onecrossradiopodcast.com. I'm going to try to get more active on the website again. I used to be more active and write side blog posts and all that. It's been ages because, well, mental health and writing stuff for a devotional, and then just mental health and all that. It's how it all plays together is painfully interesting. You can also check us out on our Facebook, One Cross Radio, One Cross Radio /Facebook. That hasn't been updated in a while, and that's on me. I've been pulling away a bit from Facebook, just because it was. There's a lot of good groups on Facebook, but on the whole, I haven't been enjoying it in quite some time. My phone turned off notifications by itself, and I was like, oh, this is nice. I don't want to turn it back on. But then the downside of that is I'm missing conversations with friends and actually updating the Facebook. So please check us out. I am going to try and hold me accountable to that. Try to get the Facebook more up and running, as well as on our YouTube. And also, you can, if you really enjoy what we do here, please check us out. And if you can, support us through Patreon. There's a couple tiers. I'm probably going to rejig the prices on the tiers, because originally I wrote them in Canadian and then they were American, and now they're higher than I thought they were. But there's a couple different tiers, and every dollar truly helps. So if you can, check us out. It's One Cross Radio, patreon.com. And thank you to our patrons, Bex and Tim. You guys, I love you as friends. I love your shows. I love you as geeks. I love you as brothers and sisters in Christ. And I am so thankful for your guys' support through Patreon. Okay, all that being said, this, what I thought was going to be a shorter episode is going on near an hour. So I'm going to wrap it up there, because the medication is starting to really kick in, and I'm needing to lay down and probably nap for a little bit. All that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Take care. Be good to one another. And God bless, my friends. Peace.